What's up, guys? Welcome back. Amazing RC. It's your boy Brian, and today we're going to do a full review on the things that I like about the brand new SCX24 by Axial. And I'll tell you what, there's quite a bit more that I like than I don't. And well, we'll just jump right into it, to be quite honest with you. I've had this truck now for about 48 hours. I believe I'm into the second run of these trucks because they've been sold out from the very beginning. And we're going to go over more of that in a little bit. But I did finally get one. I got mine through Horizon Hobby. They actually told me I wasn't supposed to get it shipped out until February 22nd. So it shipped out about a week ago. So it's almost a month and a week earlier than they stated. So I was pretty excited when I actually got the truck on its way. I took this out a couple times and I love this thing. Absolutely love it. When I first opened the box, I was very impressed. When I got it out and started really messing with it, I was blown away. Some of the really good things that I really dig about this, number one, is the amazing ESC receiver combo. Now, normally, anytime I would use the word ESC receiver combo, it would be to tell you that I ripped it out of whatever vehicle we had and I stuck in an R6FG or a R7FG dual antenna. And I got rid of the chipset ESC because these, you just really can't do anything to them. This comes with a proper ESC receiver combo. You've got plenty of extra channels in there to run more LEDs than the two that they give you. One of the things that I did to it almost immediately was I threw FPV because it was just so easy. You know, you've got almost like a front load, channel spot here. And you've got at least two extra. You've got an auxiliary. You've got a second channel, which is usually for your ESC, but it's open in this because the ESC is already inside the chipset itself. You have an extra LED port. It's just really, really awesome ESC and receiver combo. I did check the range kind of sorta. I mean, I threw it out about 40, 50 yards or so, and I had no issues with it. I haven't done a full range test because it's so tiny, if you go 30, 40 yards away, unless you have FPV, you can't see it anymore. Aside from the ESC being really over the top, I absolutely love the flip top body. As you can see, it has a proper flip top body. And one of the really cool things about this is, yes, it gives you ease of access. You know, you can get in here and kind of work on it and do your thing. But one of the things that it also gives to you that I don't know if people really realize, but once you have a flip top hinged body, you lose a bunch of body clips. Now, if this was a full-size RC10, you'd only have two on the front. But this is a little 24 scale, so you just have one body clip right in the center, and then of course your hinges in the rear, so you have nothing up top. Makes for a great look. One of the other things I found out almost immediately as soon as I put this on the ground is it was extremely capable. I'm blown away by how long the links are in this vehicle. The longer the links, the better you're going to get for articulation. Also, you'll notice when I squish this up and down, the wheels don't pivot back and forth and, get closer and further apart. Carmine, Poor Man RC, actually taught me a little something about links. And he had stated because these links were extremely short for the size of the vehicle. Just to put in comparison, the links for this vehicle, which is, I don't know, half the size, are actually longer than the links that are in this truck. And what happens is you lose quite a bit of articulation. You can see the rear tire coming up pretty quick there. Also, once you squish this thing, you can kind of get these wheels to start changing your wheelbase, quite a bit in some vehicles. Well, the shorter your links, the more that it's going to change, and the worse off that you are. Sorry, JY66. This does not have that problem, and of course articulates quite well for being such a little guy. Accompanying these really great links is this super duper tiny motor here. Now, we've all seen, 380s and these little itty bitty, motors. I personally have never seen one this small. And when I saw it at first, I said, oh, okay, well, it's a small RC. This is meant to kind of, tool around the house. This little guy is extremely capable. Now, I pulled 51 degrees on the inclinometer earlier, and I ran it up and down 3-4 times. Thought for sure I was going to burn up this motor, or at least make it extremely hot, because it's got a little sticker on it that says, hey, caution, I'm going to burn you. It wasn't even warm, and I had already run the truck through the house a couple times testing the FPV out, and then I ran it up the inclinometer. Not even lukewarm. It was like room temperature when I was done. So apparently this truck has quite a bit more. Next up are the super duper grippy tires. Now, I'm telling you, I haven't had this on flat rock yet that was, 40, 50 degrees, so I don't know. I'm assuming that seeing as how they're super grippy, super squishy, I mean, these are thin tires. These are meant, even under its ridiculously lightweight, to kind of mold around the rocks a bit. So I really dig the super squishy tires, along with the links, along with, the steering servo. Teeny tiny little micro steering servo in here. I actually had a little replacement for something else, a little chrome steering servo, and I thought for sure it was the smallest steering servo ever made. I was wrong, because this little guy is super duper tiny. But again, it just does so much more than its size promotes. It's just such a good steering servo for being so tiny. Now, of course, when you have all these really great features in the truck, you got to be able to control some of that stuff, and that's where our radio comes in. This is another plus for this vehicle. Now, when you get something, JY66 here, banggood.com, you do get a cool radio. It's got some, buttons on it that can trim your vehicle out and do all that. Well, this radio comes with quite a bit more. Now, one of the main things that I'm going to point out is something that you kind of, I don't know, I didn't find it on my Red Cat Gen 7. I didn't find it on, I don't even think my TRX4 had it on the transmitter. I think you had to go into the Traxxas Link app to do endpoints and things like that. My Radio Link RC6GS, same thing. It's inside here to get the endpoints out. It's digital. Well, this, you actually have a dual rate knob on here, and that's going to go ahead and set your endpoints for your steering servo. And I'll tell you right now, if you set that dual rate maxed out, you will fold this tire in the chassis. So you actually need to push it all the way over, have that steering servo start screaming at you, and then back off on the dial so you get about 1 millimeter away from the chassis. And this actually has quite a good turning radius for being a rock crawler. Along with your dual rate knob, you actually have 3 speed settings on here. You've got I think it's high, medium, and low, or vice versa. Now, I will say this, it's not torque based. I would think it would be, but I actually set it on low and ran it up the inclinometer, and at 51 degrees, it gave me some issues. Then I cranked it up on high and was running it through the house. And of course, coming on in the room with the inclinometer in sight, of course we're going to run right up the wall. And set on high, it actually did quite a bit better on the inclinometer than if you were to set it on low, assuming that would be more torque. And last but not least, on the transmitter, as far as functions, we have reversal for 2 of your channels up top. Just in case you start switching stuff around, you can do that from your transmitter as well. Something that some transmitters don't get. You got a nice foam wheel here. And something else to point out, the trigger mechanism on here, not calibrated. You can't change the resistance on the trigger, but it comes really good and stiff. I actually thought when I first put my finger in here and gave her a pull that I was going to cramp up midway through a run, and it's just enough resistance to really give a good solid feel. Feels expensive. Another attribute that this truck has is you do get some extras with it. You actually get a full drive shaft, and you also get a full set of links, 2 long and 2 short. Last but not least, an extra hood clip. And you only need 1. That's a whole nother set. Also going to get a charger. This is going to charge your little 2-cell 350 mAh stock battery. And I haven't tested this yet, but I'm assuming it's going to charge it just fine. Inside the box, you're also going to find a proper manual. This is hard to come by when you're getting some of these small vehicles. This is a good high-end thing to have. It does go over several things about your truck, comes in 5 or 6 different languages. It's good to have. And last but not least, to round out the positives for this truck, is it's FPV ready. Now, I run a little tiny Fat Shark Scout here, okay? So the camera for this little guy is this itty bitty teeny weeny little thing right here. And believe it or not, with a piece of Velcro, I got it right there, no problem. And this reaches right inside my receiver without an issue. So if you've got a Fat Shark Scout, you've got FPV with your SCX24. Well, that's going to round out everything I've got to say about this truck that is good. Now, let's focus on some things I think they could have done better. One thing that I think they actually could have done better or included were some shock spacers. Now, this comes with an absolutely wonderful suspension. I mean, for me, it's perfect. I love it. You can cruise on some really cool uneven ground. The truck gives you this really cool, nice bounce. You can see the wheels going absolutely bananas. I love the suspension. However, it is calibrated to be exactly this perfect weight. As soon as you start trying to add any type of aftermarket parts, let's say some brass weights, it's just going to bottom this thing out. So you're going to need to upgrade the shocks, or they could have just included a few snap-on shock spacers, and I think that definitely would have helped. And of course, another thing to worry about if you're going to get into one of these and you haven't gotten into one already is everything is super tiny. And when I mean super tiny, I mean like the Allen wrench. I already lost it. It's gone. It's gone. The Allen wrench is this little teeny tiny fleck of a thing. Now I will say this. If you have a standard $15, $20 foldable toolkit, the smallest Allen key that comes in said toolkit does fit these screws. So if you've got a standard toolkit, the very smallest one will fit, no problem. So you're going to be able to take this thing apart, add aftermarket parts if you need to. No worries there. However, if you got some big fat fingers like I do, I've already taken the body off one time just because I wanted to see how easy it was. And 2 screws in the back, just like my Red Cat Gen 7. Believe it or not, these two are quite a bit easier to get to than the Gen 7. All you Gen 7 owners, you know what I'm talking about. This, very, very easy to work with, except for the fact that everything is super duper tiny. And of course, with super duper tiny comes super duper fragile. They don't give you a few extra parts here for no reason at all. I mean, they're not just going to fall if you're going to lose them. You're going to break something if you sit on this thing. If you have a dog and it comes up and takes off with it, let them have it, because you're not getting it back the way that you gave it to the puppy. This is an extremely fragile, all plastic vehicle with a ton of aftermarket parts that you can fill this thing up to make it stronger. But when you get this out of the box, it is not stronger yet. So be very careful if it's under its own weight. If it rolls down a hill, no problem. If you add a bunch of stuff and you try to torque this thing out, you're going to rip a drive shaft apart unless you upgrade that part as well. So that's something to think about. This little guy in its stock form, I would use the word fragile for its undercarriage for sure. And last but not least, on the list is going to be aftermarket support. Now, any of you that have tried to buy one of these or any of its parts, just go to horizonhobby.com and see what they have available. Everything's on back order. All the parts, all the vehicles. I've already went to try to buy another one of these, and it's on back order again. But availability for parts, aftermarket, the trucks themselves, they're tough to get. Probably because they're really cool, but they're tough to get. So that's probably going to be the worst part about this vehicle. If I wanted to upgrade this right now, aside from going to eBay and paying a ton extra for the parts because they know that they don't exist, you're going to be waiting for a little while. Hopefully, I will only need a drive shaft and a set of links before too long. Well, guys, I'll tell you what. I absolutely love this thing. I can't say it enough. I'm so happy that I finally got one.
I'm super jealous of all my friends. All of you know who you are because I've told you all, every one of you. And some of you have 3 or 4 of these. I'm not going to mention any names. But I finally got mine, so I'm super, super jacked. If you don't have one yet and you're looking to get one, even a little bit of a wait is going to be more than fine, because once you finally get it in hand, you are going to love it. Guys, if you've got one, tell me what you think. If you don't have one, tell me why not, because these are great. Until next time, when we bring out the D12 completely customized and ready to rock and roll, it's Brian, and we're just full of amazing RCs. We'll see you guys real soon with another really cool video.